To me, the word Brit means creating a partnership, creating a covenant in a world where you're not supposed to do that. The group that I'm part of, we do something different. We try to create personal relationships that are based on friendship and on dialogue and on really having a joint mission together in Israeli society. I not only mean the close circle of partners that I work with in a community, in a city, but I also mean the partners in other groups all over the country that are also involved in exactly this type of attempt and this type of change that we're trying to create. I think that the word covenant really means that you're trying to create trust and new relationships with people that are close to you, but that are also the basis for community building on a wider scale.
Covenant between me, my activist group, and the neighborhood we live in is that we're an essential part of the neighborhood. We care about the citizens in the neighborhood because they are our neighbors. We want to help them, we want to make good connections with our neighborhood because it's our home, and we want to make our home better. During the last war in Israel in the south, communities from the GRJ were in the bomb shelters with children from the neighborhood, with families and citizens from the neighborhood, and because of that they helped them bring food, bring blankets, entertainment, so that they can go through the war quietly and as easy as possible. Taking responsibility for our neighborhood is a part of the covenant that we take, our communities take between us and the neighborhoods we live in.
For me and for my community, a really important covenant is the covenant with Israeli society. It's central to our lives, and I think central to how Israel started and the creation of Israel in general. As Herzl once said, it's not enough for Israel to exist as a Jewish homeland. It also needs to be an exemplary society. And we do that in GRJ and in my community in a lot of different ways. I think the most recent kind of big attempt at creating an Israeli society that I can really be proud of is the 17th anniversary of the memorial of Yitzhak Rabin. And for us, it was crucial to talk about the price tag incidents in the past years, the lynch of Palestinian youth in Zion Square in Jerusalem, of the exclusion of women throughout Israeli society in recent times, and more acts that we feel were anti-democratic and not Jewish in their values and in its morals. For us, bringing tens of thousands of religious and secular right-wing and left-wing people out into Rabin Square to talk about the memorial and talk about what we all have in common and how we all have to protect Israeli democracy and Israel as an exemplary Jewish state. For us, that was an important thing to have done, and something that we're very proud of as GRJ communities.
For me, my Brit is with the Jewish people. I believe that Israel and the Jewish people are inextricably linked together, and it's because of this link and this connection that both are able to be strengthened and grown, and that we are together able to have an effect on the world and able us to make the world a better place. For us, we do that by working with Israelis in order to make sure that they understand this connection and that they are actively working to maintain and to grow this connection. That without the Jewish people and Israelis working together, we cannot accomplish our goals. We also do this through working with diaspora Jewry who come to Israel, who we incorporate into the things that we do in GRJ to make sure that this connection isn't only strengthened within Israelis, but also strengthened within diaspora Jewry. The Brit with the Jewish people is very central to our communities, to our Zionism, and to the work that we do in our day-to-day with participants from Masa, from Birthright, from Lapid, and all of the other organizations that we work with.
My Brit is with humanity. I learned this after I made Aliyah, I think, when I started to understand that living here in Israel is not just about living for the Jewish people or living for the Israeli people, but it's a way to connect with all of humanity. One of the projects that GRJ have been involved in has been to adopt the African refugees that arrived in Israel a number of years ago. When members of our community heard that there were children that had to leave their homes in Africa and trek across the desert and arrived in Israel without any parents, we knew that it was our obligation to take responsibility for them. We developed a schooling system for them, we found them a home, we found them shelter and food and friends, and generally gave them support. Once they've finished schooling, they've started working with younger African refugees to build a new sense of values where they themselves are internalising this idea of taking care of humanity. I think that us as Jews have to take responsibility for humanity. We have struggled ourselves. We were once slaves in Egypt. We have been persecuted and have had to leave many different countries. And for that reason, it was just obvious that we would take care of the refugees. And that, I think, is absolutely my covenant with humanity. In our activist kibbutz, we have lots and lots of kids, and all of our kids have gone through the celebration of a Brit when they were born. And what that meant to us was that, well, we wanted to welcome them into our community, but we also wanted to involve them in the covenant and what it means to be a part of our community. So they were welcomed into the covenant of our community, of our kibbutz, of Israel, of the Jewish people, and of all of humanity.